Hey, what's up, Lions fam? I'm about to walk you through the move that's buzzing in personnel rooms, the fit on our chalkboard, and the ripple effects inside the North. And I'm going to keep the tempo high and the language clean so every fan, from the film junkies to the folks grilling in the snow, feels exactly why this story has teeth. Here's the vibe for tonight. First, I'm laying out the market temperature and why this window is built for opportunists. Then, I'll pull you onto the practice field to show how our coverage menu has shifted under pressure. Then, we'll go cap and draft economics so you see the deal before the headline. Then, only then, I'll hit the heart of the rumor and the name that turns field corners into no-fly zones, because the right reveal has to land at full speed if you want the truth to stick. The league landscape first, quick and precise. Front offices right now are combing rosters for value anomalies, young starters on team-friendly contracts who hit rare athletic thresholds, players who've already proved they can play winning snaps but haven't priced out a flexibility, profiles that let you improve the ceiling in November without choking your spring plan. And if you want to understand why that matters to Detroit, remember who we are under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. We don't panic buy names, we buy traits, production under duress, and locker room fit. You've watched Aaron Glenn recalibrate the defense in real time, mixing press man with match principles, toggling from single high to split safety disguises, and calling games like a coach who trusts players to own leverage and talk through motions. When the identity is honest like that, you can drop in the right corner and look better in a week, not a month. The right corner in this system does three jobs that casual fans miss. First, he handles solo coverage on the boundary and still arrives on time when the pattern converts from vertical to comeback. Second, he squeezes outside releases so the post safety can rob crossers without bailing on the 9. Third, he tackles like a grown man on perimeter screens so your nickel isn't stuck shedding blocks for 60 minutes. That trio is non-negotiable if you want to survive January. Now lay our current depth chart over that blueprint. An ascending rookie-scale outside corner who competes in man and plays through the pocket, a sticky nickel who can drop in the post on disguises, and a veteran presence who wins with jam and route feel. Solid bones, but every coordinator in the North watched the same two-game sequence late last season when teams spammed bunch releases and speed motion to force our corners into traffic. And that's where this story starts to sharpen. The league trend this year has been simple. Offenses use fast, four-strong formations and motion at the snap to create foot races for slot fades and deep over routes. And defenses that answer with length at the line plus recovery speed win those snaps without falling into emergency switch calls. You know exactly where I'm going, but stay with me because the economics are the real key. Detroit's cap posture is healthy precisely because we've stacked young starters on rookie deals and chosen our veterans spend wisely. Front offices with a clean sheet can take one swing before the deadline for a player who helps now and gives you option power in the spring. Tender, extension, or year 4 play it out. And that is how you improve your playoff odds without mortgaging your next draft. The cost to acquire this archetype doesn't start with a first-rounder unless the contract is cheap and the leverage is one-sided. It usually lives in the world of a day 2 pick plus an escalator tied to snaps or team results, or a player-plus pick framework that swaps surplus at one spot for a needed upgrade at another. The second half of the math is fit. No sense writing checks for a speed merchant if he can't translate to our press and match rules or if his eyes drift in zone. Okay, you've been patient. Here's the drum drop you felt coming. The profile circling Allen Park right now is Seattle Seahawks cornerback Tariq Woolen. Long, rare, straight-line speed, ball skills that don't abandon him when he turns his back to the quarterback, and the kind of recovery gear that erases coordinator mistakes. You've seen the tape since his breakout. Press bail that looks effortless, stride for stride on verticals, a wingspan that denies late catch point comebacks, and closing burst that makes throws to the sideline feel like coin flips. Seattle has blended press looks with match quarters and spot drop cover 3 over the years, which means Woolen already speaks the languages we use when we disguise late and drive downhill on outbreaking routes. And that's why the conversation is serious. Translate that length into Glenn's leverage rules, pair it with our pass rush that squeezes timing, and you change what the other sideline calls on 2nd and 8. I'm not selling fantasy here. I'm mapping football. Imagine drive starters where offenses love the quick outside stop. Woolen sits on top with patient hips. We spin late to match. The ball comes out half a beat early, and now our post safety is free to hunt the crossing route that ruined so many teams last January. You also buy insurance for the games where the pass rush doesn't get home in 2.7. Length corners can concede the throw while denying the yak, and that's how you survive bend but don't break stretches without bleeding explosives. Where does this leave our current room? Better?
clearer, and more specialized. Your ascending youngster doesn't have to take every alpha assignment yet. Your nickel can live in a role where instincts and toughness matter more than pure recovery. Your veteran becomes matchup specific instead of playing hide and seek against speed. And your safety rotations can finally call games to strengths instead of cover-ups. It all reads cleaner, and clean is what wins when the temperatures drop and the grass turns into a chessboard. Now, the honest questions that matter before you trade for any DB. Is the tackling appetite real in December? Is the communication consistent on stacks and bunch? Is the practice intensity aligned with the culture? This staff will test all of that before greenlighting the wire, because the last thing you do to a humming locker room is drop in a name who doesn't speak your language or refuses to hit on 3rd and 2. Everything I've been told points the other way. This is a high-character room in Seattle, and the projection to our standard is favorable. Compensation time. Nobody's dumping a young, toolsy corner without leverage, but the closer we get to inflection points, extensions coming due, roster balance, schematic pivots, the more realistic it becomes to pry value at a price that doesn't gut your future. Think conditional day 2 capital that upgrades if you hit snap thresholds or if we advance in January, plus the option to negotiate early in the spring instead of bidding in a blind market. Cap-wise, Detroit can fold in the remaining rookie scale year with minimal pain, then decide whether to extend before camp or let the tender market dynamic set the number. Strategically, an early extension aligned with our internal guardrails would allow you to keep your core together while planning the next DL investment, because pass rush and coverage live in the same sentence, and Holmes knows it. Let's get back to the field so you can picture this on Sunday. With Woolen aligned to the boundary, we can call more aggressive rotations away from him, spin the safety to the field, and let our nickel cheat the glance route that's killed this league. On 3rd and medium, we can go press across the board and force quarterbacks to hold that extra hitch into the teeth of our stunt game. In the red zone, length at the pylon changes the fade calculus. I can also hear the pushback. Do we really need to invest at corner after pouring picks there recently? Shouldn't resources focus on the defensive interior or depth at edge? Fair question. But the modern defensive economy says you buy one of 2 things when you're close, either a lineman who forces 3rd and long or a corner who steals 2 throws a game. And the price tag on the former mid-season is usually heavier than the latter. Now, your role in this Lions family, because this channel is a huddle, not a podium. Drop me your trade framework in the comments. Would you move a day 2 pick with a snap escalator if it locks down the boundary for the next 3 seasons? Or do you hold firm and commit every chip to the trenches? If you've got a different corner you want to pilot, name the archetype, press length versus off-man mirror, and the single playoff job you want solved. And tell me how you deploy the room on 3rd and 6 if Woolen arrives. Boundary island, field rotation, nickel tilted to the glance. I'll read Outlay 1 and feature the sharpest on the next upload. My concise analysis before we close, this is a calculated, fit-first pursuit with upside that matches who we are on defense. The cap math is friendly now with optionality later, and the on-field leverage you gain, shortening windows, stealing quick game throws, forcing hitches into our rush, tracks directly to January football. If you're new here, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and smash that like, because I'll be back with the film cut-ups on how length corners unlock our pressure plan and a measured market check as the window tightens. This is Lions News Fan Report, Detroit voice, Detroit truth, and a promise to bring you what's real, not just what's loud, as we chase the version of this team that plays its best football when the air hurts to breathe.